And welcome to Bet the Edge. It's Thursday, October 27th. Excuse me. Thank you, everyone, for watching our NBC Sports YouTube channel. The guy, Drew Disnick's here with me, Vaughn Dalzell. We're handicapping huge Thursday night football matchup, possibly the best Thursday night football matchup of the season between the Bucs and the Ravens. We're also doing some top 25 college football, OSU Buckeyes, Penn State Nittany Lions. We also got Kentucky and Tennessee before we wrap up the NBA, of course. All that and more coming up on Bet the Edge. Drew, how you doing on this beautiful Thursday, man?
Good. Excited for tonight's action. Got my teeth kicked in the NBA again. It's been a rough start to the season, but excited for tonight's games. And then, as you mentioned, Thursday Night Football looks pretty appealing. We get Tom Brady versus Lamar Jackson. And, is this rock bottom for the Bucs? The market seems to think this is the buy point because this market has been just one-way action Bucs for the last 24 hours. And I'm not sure I can understand why considering their injury report, but no, I'm very excited for tonight's game. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. I get to go over the game with Kyle Dvorak and Lawrence Jackson tonight. They always help me out in fantasy. But I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't understand where the line movement's coming from in this. Why all the sharps, all the heavy hitters are on the Bucs when they were 1-point underdogs. They were 1-point underdogs at halftime. Now they're laying 1.5, 2 for both situations here. So I don't really know what to make of this. Of course, a 16-5 run to the under on Thursday Night Football. Do you have any opinion on the total at all?
I would have to lean over, but only because I don't believe in what the Bucs are trotting out there defensively anymore, considering that they have now, the defense has really kind of held this team together for the better part of, the first few weeks where they were actually winning football games. And now that they have kind of sustained a couple injuries in the secondary, I'm talking specifically of Sean Murphy-Bunting and Carlton Davis, two guys I think are very good cover corners. You now have some weaknesses in terms of, allowing some passing here. So now the Ravens passing offense has been miserable. Lamar Jackson may be dealing with an elbow injury. There's definitely some question about how exactly they're going to get their offense in this game. But surely the idea of a little bit more of a back and forth scoring type of experience here rather than a defensive slugfest is sort of where I would lean. You've seen the over get hit pretty hard. It was in the 44 range on the open. It's 46 now. To me, that's correct in terms of directional movement. Maybe still a little bit of room to the over, but I'm not really interested in betting this game until we get to about halftime and we get a feel for what's going on with Brady and his wide receivers in terms of chemistry. He was missing those guys. In general, the conceptual play calling has been poor, and now they're going up against a pretty good D line that can generate pressure, particularly in the interior with the banged up offensive line. So if this doesn't ultimately make it in terms of getting to the over, then I would expect it's because the Ravens D line is winning their 1v1s, and the thing I'm looking the most specifically for in this game is how are the Bucs deploying Leonard Fournette? Because if his role is sitting on the bench, all of a sudden I'm very interested in the Bucs at halftime. I think Rachaad White is a much better player and a much better piece to be able to kind of insert some liveliness into this offense at this time, and kind of especially take a little bit of pressure off the passing game with the way that the pass pro is going. So if they're using White in the first half, if this is a Leonard Fournette's getting the night off kind of situation, then I'm definitely going to be getting involved with the Bucs in the second half or some points in the second half.
Yeah, I was actually looking at Leonard Fournette's rushing prop because it opened up at 52.5, came down, got super juiced to the under. And I think it's just because Rachaad White's been getting more of that snap share and he's playing that James White role. They were with Tom Brady being such a pass catcher. And it isn't worth noting, you talked about a couple of the injuries. The Bucs secondary, man, like Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield, Sean Murphy-Bunting, all these guys are being missing. Of course, we got some questionable tags on Mark Andrews. I think that he is going to be playing in this game, and I'm actually not scared of his 2 targets, 0 receptions last week, because as Lamar Jackson said, the Browns were double teaming Mark Andrews a lot of the time, and he wasn't completely healthy, coming off a couple missed practices. But here, I think he's going to play. It's also worth noting, Drew, that Mark Andrews has scored every single Thursday night football game he has played in. All 3 of them. And remember what Travis Kelce did to the Bucs? Could Mark Andrews score? Plus 115. That's one of my bets, and I took the Ravens first half, just because, man. You kind of hit on the nail on the head, but this team is terrible in the first half. They trailed the Packers 14-3. They trailed the Chiefs 28-17. Trailed the Falcons, or they led the Falcons 13-0. blew that lead. Then after that, they trailed the Steelers and the Panthers. I mean, I don't know why you would play the Bucs here, but any opinions on, I guess, the first half, Mark Andrews, any of that stuff?
I think your Mark Andrews look is very solid, and if you're you're riding a little bit of what the Bucs are telling you they are, which is a slow starting team. Entirely possible that continues. So, I mean, again, most of my decision making is going to be halftime here because I just need to see what the Bucs are doing offensively. What are their concepts? It's a short week; they don't have a ton of time to adjust. If it's what they rolled out against the Panthers, then this team is in deep trouble.
Yeah, and this is the first short week of the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that one's going to be pretty good. It looks like we have a viewer question here. Let's get to this one and see what we have. Who do you got, the Broncos or the Jaguars? This is interesting, Drew, because rumors came out yesterday and this morning. Nathaniel Hackett, if they don't survive, he could be fired. I don't know if I believe that, but it's coming. It's certainly coming. So what do you think about Broncos Jaguars? I like the team total under for the Broncos in London.
Well, I'm a sick person, so I'm cheering for them to leave him on the tarmac. We haven't had a coach get fired in London since Lane Kiffin and the Raiders. I don't know if you remember that back in the day, but the Raiders left Lane Kiffin in London, said, "Hey, have a nice vacation. We're flying home without you." So this is the rare leave him on the tarmac at Heathrow, so I'll be cheering for the Jaguars. And beyond that, I just have a lot of Jaguars features. I would really, really like them to see them start playing to their potential. The metrics say that's a top 5, top 6 team in offense and defense combined, and they need to start winning.
Yeah, I just had to pull it up to make sure to see what that date was, Drew. But 2013, when Lane Kiffin was left on the tarmac, that's that was awesome. Great call there. Yeah, I'm looking at this game too, and I mean, I know you and our guy Jay have been pushing the Jaguars train. And I'm not going to lie, man, I like them in this spot too. I think it's a huge bounce back spot. And you look at max desperations. I mean, 4 straight losses for the Jaguars. They should have got that win last week against the Giants, in my opinion, but they kind of throw it away there going forward on a 4th down instead of kicking a field goal, which has been very common theme in the NFL this year, especially with the Baltimore Ravens, which we'll see tonight. So, that's my opinion on that one. Drew, I like your look as well. Let's hop into some college football, man, because I've been loving this slate. But first, if you guys don't know, if you want more betting, DFS, and fantasy advice right before kickoff tonight, you guys come join us, 7 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. It's Lawrence Jackson, it's Kyle Dvorak, and it's myself answering fantasy questions, betting questions, and more between the Ravens and the Bucs. So come join the squad, NFL on NBC YouTube channel. Let's talk about the biggest game. I'm a Pennsylvania guy, so we got Ohio State laying 15.5 at Penn State, Happy Valley. Nothing here makes me want to bet Penn State, Drew. What do you think about Penn State, Ohio State? I mean, dude, CJ Stroud, Penn State has the top 5 passing defense in the country. So did Iowa. And CJ Stroud just destroyed that team. Then you look at Penn State's rushing defense, 62nd in the country. Trayvon Henderson could definitely do some work here. Penn State struggled against Aiden O'Connell with Purdue, who had 365 passing yards, a touchdown on 30 of 59. So, I kind of like Ohio State. I'm looking at a team total of 37.5. What's your thoughts on Ohio State and Penn State?
I don't have any bets on this game, but 15.5 sounds crazy for this high profile of a spot. There's just too much recency, bias here telling me that Penn State is live. I don't know anything really about college football, so I don't bet these games myself, or I don't originate these lines. And I haven't seen any sharp action here. In general, I would say the questions about some of the availability of the receivers, JSN certainly not playing as healthy and as explosive as we had expected this season, and going up against a good pass defense in Penn State, and just in general a little bit of the atmosphere, a little bit of the crowd noise potentially disrupting the offense. All that kind of makes me think that this is a decent spot to try to shoot an under. 61 is an enormous total. If Ohio State ultimately covers or makes their team total, now you're counting on Penn State getting to 20, which I'm not sure is possible even against a weak Ohio State defense. So my lean would be under 61 in this game, but I don't have a very strong opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to determine my favorite Big Ten bet this week because I'm thinking it's Iowa laying the 11 points this week. No one wants to bet the Hawkeyes, but I do this week. And I'm looking at this game, and I'm honestly, the Penn State team total of 23.5 might be the look in this one to bet the under. So I like that, what you said. They scored 24 the last time these two teams met. I'm not sure Penn State's a better team than they were the last time these teams fought. And then also Michigan put up 41 points on Penn State. Purdue put up 31. Ohio State is definitely the better offenses of those teams.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I could get down with Ohio State in this one, laying the 15.5, team total over, Penn State's team total under. I think those are all the looks. Now, Drew, you may not be watching Penn State as much this year because I don't think they're worthy of watching as much, but you've probably seen Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
You had to have watched Tennessee against Alabama, the best first half team in the entire country. They're laying 7 in the first half, 12.5 in the full game, over under at 62. Laying Kentucky, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker. Do you have any opinions on the Vols at all?
Yeah, this looks like an easy over 62 to me. I have a lot of Tennessee futures at stake, not to win the title or anything, but just to win the SEC East at some pretty huge prices. So I'm going to be watching this game very closely. Very excited about what I've seen from Tennessee and Hooker in terms of offensive production. I think Tennessee getting into the 40s here is a reasonable expectation. And Will Levis is a guy that is absolutely capable of moving the ball. I know he hasn't been super healthy of late, but I would expect that he at least has a little bit of, this is their Super Bowl effectively. So them coming in and pulling out all the stops, giving you some trick plays, all the wrinkles, all the bells and whistles. I would expect this to be a game that cruises over 62. I don't understand why this total is so low, frankly. I would have guessed that this would have been in the 67 range. So, again, I don't originate college football, but to me, this looks like an over or pass.
Yeah, so as of 2 weeks ago, Kentucky, Drew, not Tennessee, but the Kentucky Wildcats were the most explosive offense in the SEC,
Wow.
The most explosive plays. You would not believe that with Will Levis at the quarterback, but he's been able to get it done. So I actually do like that over. Tennessee's team total sitting at 37.5. They are actually the most efficient first half team in the entire country. They run the most plays, have the most yards. Last year they were 15th in that category. So I'm really looking at, if you're betting Tennessee, I'd rather lay the first half 7 than the full game 12.5. And I wouldn't talk anyone off the team totals, overs, or the over in general, like Drew said. I think those are great bets. I know you probably don't have any looks tonight, Drew, but I think I might be rolling with Louisiana Lafayette.
Oh, yeah?
I'll throw that one out there. Yeah. I think
right.
we're going to be taking Louisiana Lafayette against Southern Mississippi. And crazy enough, 87% of the money is on Southern Miss tonight. And 55% of the bets. So I'm going against the entire world, and I'm actually okay with that. Looking at this matchup, man, do you know anything about Louisiana Lafayette or Southern Miss?
They're the Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, you do know that, baby. Yeah, both teams are pretty bad offensively, but when I look at Louisiana Lafayette, they have 2 quarterbacks. And, people say when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Sure, that's very common, yes.
Yeah, but what they did this year was every third drive, they would play the other quarterback. Huh. And at first, you think that's pretty stupid. And they opened up the season 0-3. But lately, they've been streaking, and this quarterback now has 10 touchdowns and 1 pick. Wow. Where the other backup quarterback has more touchdowns than picks and rushing yards. So I actually love what Louisiana Lafayette's been doing lately. And Southern Miss is a team that everyone's going to look at their past 2 games and want to bet. But, Drew, don't fall for it, my man. You got to ride Louisiana Lafayette with me tonight.
Raging Cajuns, let's go.
Let's go, baby. Good defense. Now, let's talk some NBA. Before we do that, though, you guys should be downloading this RotoWorld app, receiving breaking news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition. All your favorite players on the rosters, get up-to-date news on these guys. Injuries, of course, because that is the most important thing when it comes to sports betting. And all that's delivered right to your phone. So it's available in the App Store today, the RotoWorld app. You could, if you're watching live right now, pull out your phone. You guys can screenshot that. But Drew said it, the NBA was a little tough yesterday. I did bet the Lakers, so my night didn't end as good as it started because I was on the Jazz. I was on the Timberwolves. I was on the Hawks. The Hawks almost came through for me. But tonight, I'm super excited because I got the Mavericks money line at minus 120 last night when I was watching this Nets-Bucks game. Now the money line's out to minus 150. Mavericks laying 2.5 at Brooklyn, 225 total. What's your breakdown on this game, Drew?
Everyone has their turn betting the Lakers on, so don't feel bad.
That's by one of 3 times this year.
My turn this year was believing in the Nets being anything, and I am learning hard lessons about exactly how much that team cares and about exactly how good Steve Nash is at figuring out how to fit the pieces together. He is not. They are not caring a lot to this point in the season. Blew a pretty comfortable margin against the Bucs last night with just horrific defense in the second half. They're on a back-to-back now, and in general, the Nets have been just an abomination to start the season in terms of defense. So I would expect that this is all systems go for Luka. This is all systems go for Christian Wood and Dinwiddie. This is going to be a pretty solid offensive performance from them. If you haven't been paying attention, teams on backs-to-backs have had even worse defense than they tend to play with in these specific situations. I'm not sure what the Nets are bringing to the table defensively in this contest that's going to distinguish themselves. So Dallas is probably winning this one by margin, but I am following sort of a funny side plot here, which is that so far every single Dallas loss has ended with a Luka missed three that would win them the game. So if it ultimately comes down to the end of game scenario, I'll be watching closely to see if he can finally make that game winner.
It'd be time to retweet your most famous Dallas Mavericks tweet too, if that happens. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, defense on back-to-backs gets worse, and how can you be worse at defense than the Brooklyn Nets right now? I mean, 29th in defensive rating, second worst, 23rd in points in the paint, 26th in three-point defense, 25th in rebounding, 25th in points per game. I mean, they brought in Ben Simmons, and people were saying Ben Simmons is going to lock up Giannis. Ben Simmons is a guy that can stay in front of Giannis and make sure he doesn't blow by him. But that was a joke. I was on Giannis's points last night, and it should have been a max bet, Drew, because there's no way that this Nets defense is going to be able to guard any superstars, especially Luka Doncic tonight. And I'll just point out, too, Dallas or Brooklyn in general last year were 3-11 on the money line the second night of a back-to-back. They lost 10 straight at one point.
Wow.
All right, 2-7-1 ATS in one of those streaks. So I really like the Mavericks tonight. I think that they got a big advantage spot. And do you have any opinion or like recommendations when there are 4.5-point springs like that, 4.5-point movement on the spread like this? Because Brooklyn was looking at a -1 to a pick 'em, and now they're 3-point underdogs.
Yeah. So when you have this big of a move, it implies that there is some speculation that the Nets are going to rest guys. That's just what this means. And I think the speculation, even if it is wrong, you don't mind being on that side, which is why people made the bets that moved the market. I agree with the move. I think it should have moved in this direction. It may have gone a little too far. And ultimately, if there is a surprise in the lineup, you may see it move even more. So I'm definitely not getting involved with the Nets play now as trying to be the buyback. I want to see confirmation of who's going to play. If it ultimately moves even a little bit more, I would consider the Nets, but I think really if you're going to bet this game at this point after what we've got now, I think you're probably circling just the Mavericks team total over because, as mentioned, the defense for the Nets is not good, and I do not see a solution anytime soon. And I think Mavericks are going to find their way to 120 points in this one.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure, too. The team totals, man, are very tight markets this season. I've been looking at a few of them, and a lot of them have been finishing within 1 to 3 points of what the sportsbooks have put out. So I do like that one. I think the Nets are a great team worth fading all season on the defensive end. Let's talk about two teams, though, that defensively have been pretty stellar in recent years. The Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors. Another back-to-back situation here. Miami Heat played last night. They beat the Portland Trail Blazers, one of the only undefeated teams against the spread and in the NBA. Warriors laying 6.5, over under 226.5 points. Any opinions here, Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, this is Warriors or pass. This is over or pass. I still am not a believer in what we're seeing out of the Miami Heat defensively, and now they take on a test with the Warriors where the Warriors fit well with their plan A offensively with what the Heat right now are not doing well defensively. So I think the Warriors are going to be able to play it from ahead pretty comfortably in this one. A lot of the offensive efficiency we've seen from them this year to date has been very, very impressive, and I would not expect that to be disrupted going up against the likes of the Heat. And the Heat may ultimately fix their defense and be sort of the team we remember from years past, but they're definitely not there right now. And so I would definitely look for the Warriors to bounce back from a tough loss to the Suns the other day.
Yeah, that was a tremendous game. Definitely thought that was awesome to watch Klay Thompson and Devin Booker go at it. Klay Thompson will now have to guard Jimmy Butler, who doesn't have the best numbers against the Golden State Warriors in 18 career games. He's only scored over 22 points twice against them. I'm waiting to see what his player props are going to be tonight, but the Miami Heat have struggled historically in the second night of a back-to-back. Since the start of last season, they were 3-9 ATS in the last 12, 4-8 on the money line. This year, they opened up as a 3.5-point favorite against Toronto Raptors on the second night of a back-to-back. They won by 3 and did not cover by the half point. Drew, before we get out of here, though, could I interest you in a first quarter over 58.5 for Heat and Warriors? The Heat allowing 29.8 points per game in the first quarter. The Warriors allowing 34. Two of the worst teams in the first quarter defensively.
I love that. That is a really fun look. Quarter splits, and still there is still some room for margin there because it's an overlooked market by a lot of players, and that's a fun one. That'll be fun to cheer for, and that way you don't, if you're on the East Coast especially, don't have to stay up for the finale.
Yeah, that's part of my capping at a 10:30 games. I wish I'd have did the Lakers first half last night instead of full game. I didn't have to stay up for that one, but. Yeah, we'll get to that one later. But, Drew, it was a good episode, my man. I think we got some good plays here. Tomorrow, Jay Crouch will be back in the building with Drew, so make sure you guys tune in and check out that one. But we appreciate everyone that watched with us live, everyone that listened to us. Don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more information to help you guys with your wagers. Thanks for everyone again. Make sure you subscribe, like, and rate the podcast. Drew, Jay, see you guys tomorrow.